Where someone stop sharing, ঠিক আছে?
এটা বন্ধ করবে, বন্ধ একটু 15 মিনিট হলো বই এখন
বুঝছো ওইটা স্টার্ট করবে।
তারপর স্যার যেটা স্টপ রেকর্ডিং হলো অটোমেটিক্যালি डाउनलोड हो जाएगा। अब सर अब उसको ऊपर स्टार्ट कर दीजिए।
नहीं अभी शेयर कर देता हूँ पहले, शेयर तो नहीं
मैं सेपरेटली शेयर करूँ लेकिन डायरेक्ट स्टार्ट कर दूँगा डिटेल शेयर करूँगा।
तो থাকিবা नहीं जाओ कुछ नहीं जाओ और
बस में बोल
So, okay, sir, आपको म्यूट नहीं किया वीडियो कॉल तो
वीडियो सब में ऐसे नहीं है।
इसको म्यूट कर दीजिए।
So good morning to one and all present. So good morning to one and all present. So today we have a session on angel investment funding opportunity for early stage entrepreneurs. So this is actually for those people who are interested to know or understand how they can start the funding process, they can invest in various stocks or other such applications. We all know that nowadays there are many such apps where we can invest in various fields. Okay, so how to go ahead in those, how to understand those we will start to discuss. This is for the beginner purpose. Okay, that's why it is for the early stage entrepreneurs, so that they can start with some basic ground knowledge. Okay, so what is an angel investor? They look for a high return on their money that they would get if they were to invest in the stock market. Okay, so someone who wants to have a high return on their money, they would have to be an angel investor. Okay, now everyone wants high return, right? No one wants to have low returns on their investment. So anyone who have the desire to earn more money, they can become an angel investor. Now their interest in startups usually goes beyond just monetary return. They have an interest in working within a particular industry, mentoring a new generation of entrepreneurs, or using their skills and experience in an innovative way. That means they always like to work with upcoming or budding entrepreneurs, and they want to use their experience so that those budding entrepreneurs can become a global business tycoons. Next, an angel investor can be an individual who has sufficient financial capital and who has also the field to provide funding for startups. So anyone who has a very good financial background or has certain money or certain capital which he wants to invest, they can become an angel investor. Now some of the entrepreneurs, they prefer angel investors for their startups over the predatory forms of funding because they are less elusive. Okay. Now angel investor, they can invest anywhere from 3 lakhs to 2 crores depending on the size of the company. Okay. So their investment in general, it can start from 3 lakhs and it can go up to 2 crores depending on what type of starters or what type of business they want to invest. Okay. Now they want to, their main idea is to invest in startups. Why? Because in any investor, they want someone who is new to the field so that they will have the zeal to work hard. As we know that some very big business houses, they already have their very high capitals, and so they don't have to wait for some other people to invest. But when in a startups, those companies will have the need of paying the dividends back to the investors. Okay, so that in future, if they require any more assistance, they would be given, or the investors will again be interested to invest in them in the futures. Okay. Now, angel investors can prefer not to invest more than 5 to 10% of their total portfolio amount in a single company. So it's up to the investor. Okay, it's up to their opinion how much they want to invest in a single company. They can invest 5 to 10%. That depends upon what type of business they're interested, what is the scope, what is the future income, what is the future revenue, all the revenue data and all. Based on that, they can do that. Okay. Now, what are the basic qualifications that you need to be an angel investor? So there is no such thing that you need a certain degree or you need to have certain diplomas or certain certifications to become an angel investor. Basically, if you are someone who is from a business background or who has some technical knowledge or who has some financial knowledge, and basically these are those people who are into the business world. They are corporate people. They normally want to become an angel investors because they know what kind of startups can have a very good future, what kind of startups they know that they would not be able to reach the level that was expected of them. So obviously these people has to be experienced to study what kind of future or what kind of growth the startups will have. So those people, you can have those knowledge only if you have the experience. Okay. So there is no certain degree that you have a degree in angle as an angle investor. There is no certain degree, but your experience in this field will count as your degree. There is no separate qualification or qualitative degrees. Now, what is the role of an angel investor? Angel investor primarily provide capital for startups at early stages in exchange or convertible debt or equity ownership. Many angel investors invest in companies of the same sectors where they have the expertise and they help accelerate their growth by providing strategic inputs. So, what they do is they give the money in exchange for some equity or they give it as a debt. Okay. Now, as the investor, suppose an investor is from a technical field, he would have more experience and expertise in that field, and so he will be able to fund those kind of startups which are in the technical field. Okay, so for example, suppose we all know the series of Shark Tank, right? We have many big CEOs of companies from Lenskart, from Boat, etc. And what they do, they invest in those companies in which they have their knowledge. For example, in Boat is mostly a wearable companies. They are invested in smartwatches, in sound systems, in power banks, etc. So those kind of companies, startups will interest the CEO of Boat to invest in them, and in exchange, they will either take the debt. Okay, that means you have to refund the money with certain amount of interest for a certain time, or they will require some ownership of the company depending on how much amount they invest. Now, what are the various forms of angel investors? Friends and family. Most common source of funding for startups is often the first place startups look for funding. So mainly whenever you look for funding, first you always see how much is your circle. Whether you have someone in your friends, in your family, in your known circle who are interested in funding. Okay. Next, you look for some rich individuals. Depending on the business, individuals who have a high net worth, such as doctors, engineers, or successful business people, are often ready to invest a substantial amount in exchange of money or equity. So first, you will look for your friends or someone in your family or in your known circle who can invest. Next, you can look for some particular particular rich individuals, some wealthy individuals who those who are interested in fundings. Okay, for example, a doctor. Okay, a doctor may be interested in funding for some kind of medical devices, some kind of pharmaceutical medicines. Okay, so those kind of people you have to search who are a legend or a very prominent figure in their field and who are genuinely interested in seeing the growth of a company. Then groups gradually starting to operate as part of a group. This increases the potential for a higher amount of investment significantly. So groups means suppose you have searched for two, three investors and they together will invest in your startup. So that means now you have three investors. Okay. So those three investors will now form a group and they together will be able to invest in your company. So that is a very high advantage because now with three people you are getting three times more knowledge, three times more experience, and possibly a more amount of funding. Next is crowdfunding. It allows large groups of people to invest small sums of money to help the company achieve a specific funding goal. That means you can take small sum of money from a very large number of people whose sum total will help you in your business. Now, what are the advantages? The first advantage of receiving funding from an angel investor is that there is less risk than taking out a bank loan. So, whenever you take an amount for a funding from an investor, the amount of risk is less as compared to a bank loan or business loan. Because what happens is they will charge a high amount of interest and you have to give something in mortgage also. They may ask something in mortgage. Maybe some properties that you have to show them as mortgage. Okay, but as angel investor, as I told you in the previous slides, you will have either in the form of debt or in the form of equity. So they will have a certain ownership of your company. So the risk is less. Even if you are not able to pay the amount, you can have them, you can give them some amount of ownership in the companies. Now, there is no requirement to pay back the funding from angel investor as they take in equity in exchange of funding. Angel investors typically have experience in investing. So, as I've told you, you don't have to repay also if they are interested in equity. They will give you the money and you have to give certain amount of ownership in your company, and so there is no loss for you even if you are not able to refund the amount. Now, take a long-term view and understand that they can get a return of their investment after a long time. Also, if you take their funding as debt, they will know, they will see your business model and they will be able to identify after how much time you will be able to return. It's not like some other banks when they will give you a time period. That within that certain time you have to return, but they will see their investment in your companies and they will identify what is the maximum time or how much time will be required for you to repay the investor. Next, it enables entrepreneurs to grow their business, and there are some drawbacks to this. It includes the loss of equity. Okay, so once you give the equity, that means you are losing ownership in your own company. So that is one negative point. Now, many entrepreneurs give away 15 to 50% of their startups for the investment. So some people want funding in a very high funding, and so they have to lose the ownership of the company. Now, anticipate the high rate of return on their investment, often up to tenfold in the first 5 to 7 years. This may put the business and its promoters under extra pressure. So what happens is you may expect to provide to return the investment within the first few years of your startup, but what will happen is whatever you earn, the profit that you earn, that will go in refunding. You won't be able to use your profits in expanding your business. So that is a negative point. To determine whether the business can grow at a rate an investor would expect and establish growth expectations. Now, what are the tips that you can have before you approach an investor or angel investor? First, you should have a proper business plan. Now, approaching for funding from an angel investor for the startup, you have to create a comprehensive business plan before you go to any investor. No one will give you their money just by knocking on the door. No, you have to give them the whole briefing of your whole business idea, your whole setup. Only then you will get the funding. Whether getting financing from a lender or an investor, the business plan will be useful. The plan should be convincing and complete. So your business plan should be convincing and complete. A plan often includes financial projections, strategies, and budgeting for marketing the product and specifics about the target market of the business. Next, be specific about what the investor is offering. Clear specifications that what the investor is offering the business apart from the funding, as many angel investors expect to contribute their time and expertise in startups in which they invest. So give them the you have to give them the other offers also. You have to show them that they are not only spending their money, but they are also expected to spend their time and their knowledge in the startups. They provide mentorship. They can take the role as an advisor, providing networks and other connections which is required for the growth of the organization. While this added involvement and experience you gain are valuable to the company, it is better to have the expectations clear. So you should be clear about it in the beginning itself. Now, establish roles. To develop a clear understanding of the roles of each person in the business, they may have their own ideas for how to operate the business, and for this, they may want to have clarity about the roles of every person involved in the business. By establishing roles in the starting, it reduces the possibility of a conflict at a later stage. Venture capitalists or VCs. It aim to invest in early stage business with high growth potential. Traditionally, venture capitalists receive equity in the business in exchange for funding it. However, these days they demand a mixture of equity and debt financing. So, for venture capitalists, they may require debt and equity also. Now, what are the source of funding or raising capital? Now, both look for long-term funds and working capital, because this is one of the most important thing for any startup, because you cannot guarantee within how much time you are able to refund the investment. So you should be able to look for such people who are able to wait for a certain time before you refund their investment. Now, depending on your business model, choice of entity will play a key role in determining the options of capital available. For example, grant capital versus commercial, sources of capital available, and manner of engagement with the funders. Therefore, choice of legal entity should also be made through the lenses of the proposed sources of capital. Now, what is debt financing? These are invested funds to be repaid with a stipulated time frame with interest. Banks, NBFCs or non-banking financial institutions, government loans, etc. are the source of debt financing. That means, by taking a loan if you take a loan from such organizations or banks or NBFCs or any government schemes, you have to refund the amount within the given frame. It's not that it will depend on how much the investor or you want. Now, there is another type of funding which is equity funding. This type of funding has no component of refunding. It has no component of repayment. That means you don't have to repay the amount. You have to give ownership in your organization. Now, these fund investors share the risk and usually prefer to involve themselves in the decision making. These include anchor investors, self-financing family and friends, etc. Now, what is venture capital investing? Now, this is a type of private equity investing that involves investment in a business that requires capital. This business often requires capital for start initial setup. Venture capital investing may be done at an even earlier stage known as the idea phase. So, if you are not in the application part of your business plan, you are just doing the overwork or the pre-business planning, the idea during that stage only. If you want to have the funding, you can go to the venture capitalist. Now, venture capitalists, they will provide fund in three stages. First, seed stage capital, next, early stage capital, and next, later stage. So, what is the seed stage? Seed stage is the R&D, that is the research and development of the products and services. RD stage is the initial start and the initial production. Later stage, after your business generates the profit or the revenue. Okay. Now, what is the difference between the venture capitalists and angel investors? The angel investors work alone, while venture capitalists are part of a company. So these are actually capitalists. What they mean is there are certain companies, organizations, they are willing to invest. But in angel investors, they can be single people, like I've told you. It can be your family members, your friends, or someone in your circle. Now, as angel investors who work alone, they have relatively limited financial capacity and may not always fund to full capacity. So, as I have told you, it can be either your known people or known circle. So, their funding may be limited. But as venture capitalists, if you take funds from them, you can get a very high amount of funding. A venture capitalist invests an average of around 8 million in a company. So that amount is also very high compared to angel. For an angel investor, it starts from around 2 to 3 lakhs, but here it's around 8 million dollars. So it's very high. Now, let's have some example. In line with the Startup India Action, the cabinet approved the establishment of Fund of Funds for Startups (FFS) and SITM for contribution to various alternative investment funds. Now, to encourage the government agenda of boosting entrepreneurship by providing indirect funding, emerging startups through the provision of funds to venture capitalists and presenting the Indian ecosystem. So that will be all. So I hope if we have any kind of startups or any kind of ideas, our students or any of our members who have joined our meeting.